Right, tell you there, champs. Now you asked for it. I think it's my most requested thing ever. Apart from how does this content creation device game? Everybody wants to know that too. But yes, the most requested thing ever, XPS versus MacBook Pro. This has always been the most epic shootout between these two. Going to see the performance difference of GPU and gaming. And I will do something similar with the XPS 17 when it comes in, because this is the XPS 15 and you can tell by the footprint, right? How small is this? The footprint of this laptop is basically this display. And I've got to hand it to Dell. They're the only ones doing this out of everyone, okay? So you look at the Mac, they've got the notch, and they still got, you know, a little bit of a bezel up there as well. This actually has a webcam up there and virtually no bezel. And you'll notice that the Mac also has a bit of a chin. So you got the bezel there, but you also got like a metal chin. There's no chin here, you can just see the bezel. And if that bezel went down any further, you wouldn't be able to see the bottom of the screen. So the footprint is, yeah, so small, so compact. So yes, it can be done without a notch, and you can make your laptop more compact by doing that. And yes, this is a 15 versus 16, but that looks more like a 17 compared to this, just the difference in footprint, right? Even though this is smaller than a 17, of course. Cracking display on this too. As I said, touch. It is 4K plus. You can get an OLED, and the OLED is superb. It's a 3K OLED. That's really good. This is 500 nits brightness. It is only 60 Hertz. Nothing touches the Mac display at the moment. It is the best display, but this is going to be a very interesting comparison because this only uses about 19 watts idle, and that's with the screen brightness 100%. It has here a 130 watt USB-C. Yes, USB-C custom 130 watts. I wonder what happens if I plug it in there. Will I get more power through the Thunderbolts? Compared to Apple One here, which is MagSafe, it's not USB-C. Even though I can charge this Mac on both sides, the problem is if you want full powered mode, you have to have it on the left-hand side, and if you want fast charging as well. And I always use power on the right side, so for me, I just prefer it if it was USB-C. I could put it both sides. I could full power it on both sides. That would be nice, like you can with this one. Doesn't matter. 130 watts custom. Maybe they could have made a 140 watt custom for this. Anyway, let's see GPU versus GPU, and I think you might be surprised which one I recommend for gaming. So we'll get to that in a sec. So this XPS 15 has 11800H, which is an 8-core Intel CPU, and we have an RTX 3050 Ti. It's 50 watter. This is a 65 watt 32 core beast with 64 gigs RAM, M1 Max. Now I think, you know, we've been comparing this to 3080s. It's probably going to be a destroyation. Well, let's see. I can hear the fans already on the XPS. Obviously you won't on the Mac. One thing I will say about the XPS 15, not only is the footprint so small, it is so thin, so razor thin. It's like probably thinner than the last MacBook Pro. So yeah, it is thermally constrained a bit there. We do have the same settings, okay? So if you want to look there, same sort of settings. I'll just increase the brightness there, maybe lower this one down a bit. Is that about right? Because this is locked out SD. All right, so same graphics, exactly the same, 1920 by 1200. So let's just do it and see what happens. What am I going to do? I'll run this one first. See what happens. I'm going to tell you the power draw out of the wall for this. Okay, so this is actually very low powered, 130 watts. So it actually has 10 watts less than the power brick on this, the Mac. So, you know, that is what it is. It's very interesting because this doesn't use that much power. Boom, there you go. We know this gets 92 at the end of this run. It's going to get 92 frames. It's taken 100 years to load. I have no idea why. It seems to be the one I put in airplane mode is the one that takes 100 years to load. I think it's just searching for internet connection because I'm using the same Steam account here. But anyway, here we go. Destroyation. Yeah, you can see there. 59 frames per second, and that's doing 80 frames per second. I think we know which one's going to be the winner here, and let's have a listen. Have a listen to that. Now, here's something that's interesting. Pull in 93 watts at the moment. 95 watts at idle, it was 20 watts. So pretty much the same amount of wattage as this. This was pushing the same amount of wattage, medium of 90 up to 100. So if we just think 90 watts both of them, interesting how much more power you get out of this at a 90 watts. That is just amazing. Here we can see 50 frames per second versus 90. It's absolutely destroying, as you would expect. That's why I'm saying it is more like a 30, 80, 100 watter and 86 watts. So I think it's throttled down a little bit there. 82 watts. So we drop all 60 watts. It's throttled hard. There you can see it's throttled. And now it's back up to 89 watts. Now, that's a thing where, you know, this happens all the time. They change the BIOS all the time. With Dell, they go up to the limit. They'll go up to the 100 and then they'll back off, where they're better off just using less wattage and keeping it more stable. That's a better thing to do. And by no means is this a gaming laptop, but it is what it is. We know that's going to get 92, same settings again, and we're getting what? 55, 60 frames per second versus 90. So it's a good 30 frames per second faster. That's really big performance difference for about the same amount of wattage there. So pushing 85 watts. Actually, this is probably using 5 watts less than that at the moment, but I would say that would be due to thermals. Let's have a listen. .34 frames per second, 85 watts. I'm going to pull the power out for the second run, and this actually can perform on battery pretty much the same as it does unplugged, and that's because it's lower wattage, so it's easier to do. But you can see there it's stuttering a bit there. We're still using 84 watts. I mean, this does stutter a bit. I mean, there's no drivers made for this game, for this laptop, so that is what it is there. I'm going to get 92. Let me see. Oh, where is it? 93. Oh, it's faster today. Oh, how's that? 93, what a beast. And we're pushing 37 frames per second and 82 watts at the moment. So the wattage has settled down a bit, actually using, yeah, I'd say 5 watts less than that. So yeah, that's interesting. All right, so what do we got there? 41 frames per second. So pretty much absolutely destroyed there. Let's do it on battery. We know this is the same on battery, so really I've just got to pull this out. Should I give it a breather or straight into it? Hook straight into it. What am I going to do? All right, straight into it. No breather for you, XPS. And we know that's going to be 92, so there's no point unplugging that. We'll just see what this does and see if we're getting that same sort of 40 frames per second on battery. Or one thing I will do is make sure I'm in full powered mode there, which I'm not. See how much battery it drains. Actually, that'll be very interesting. Usually these Windows laptops drain about 9% battery on this test. So you go, pretty much full power. If anything, a little bit better on battery. This is actually good because it is a lower wattage. So, you know, because it's so thin and light and thermally constrained, you can't get more out of it. So this will be very interesting to see. I'll fast forward it. I won't make you go through the whole test again, but you can see there the FPS is up already, and it's pretty much the same as it is on battery. I reckon this is going to be close to performing exactly the same on the battery. Very close, I reckon. There you go, 48 FPS. Now, I did go into GeForce and uncap the 30 FPS, which I didn't do with the Legion. And I don't usually have GeForce Experience installed. And it was interesting that it did go to 30 FPS, even though I didn't have that installed. But anyway, this one here, I unlocked it so you could do maximum frames per second. As you can see, pretty much the same on battery as it does on power. Now, here's the thing. If I was going to recommend one of these laptops, if you want a content creation device, but you really do game quite a lot, this is the one I'd recommend. You saw, yeah, it did stutter when it gets too hot. You just don't put it in its full performance mode. You put it in, you know, optimized mode, so it's not going to, you know, do that. But yes, this smashed this, all right, in terms of gaming performance. You know, the performance is much faster than this, and this should be more compared to the the XPS 17 that does have a 3060, but the games are going to work on this. You're going to have to use crossover and parallels, which is a nightmare. Stuff doesn't work half the time. You know, you're going to have to do a lot of troubleshooting, stuff like that. And then half the games don't even work, even with crossover or parallels. So, you know, there really is one choice for gaming. If you really do game a lot, you are better off with a Windows laptop. That being said, if they had the games for this, or the games you play are just on Mac OS, yeah, go for it, go for your life. But if you have to use parallels and stuff like that, and you want to play the latest titles, there is only one choice. It's a Windows laptop. So anyway, interesting. So what the XPS 17 is like compared to this. Catch you in the next one, guys. Tally ho.